If your love is directed towards God,
no. Just say the statement.
Sin is simply misdirected love. Ladies and gentlemen, dogs and fleas, pull up a chair and sit on your knees, for we have a story to tell you that we are still learning about. Welcome to Talk the Walk. My name is Henry Moses.
I'm Jenny Tucker.
And I'm Gabriel Moses, and we are super happy to be here, and thank you for joining us wherever you may be today on this Monday.
Happy Monday. And in the words of Dad, okay, that's good.
Excited about getting started on a Monday. We're just going to try to do that.
Let's go.
Y'all know how I feel about Mondays.
Come on, people.
I don't feel like we all have to be just pretending to be excited about it.
Come on, listener.
I mean, I kind of have gotten to the point that I love Mondays now. So with my shift in thinking, and
I guess it can be done.
I think
some of us are more Eeyore-ish and don't want to do it.
I was always that way, but I think I've talked a little bit on here about how I've started shifting the way I look at things, and it started with forced, and now it's starting to just become part of who I am.
It started with what?
With force, like making a decision. This is what I'm going to do, even though I don't feel like it.
Yeah.
And so, but also the idea of doing it like you love it. And so, the more you do that, the more when it gets close to Monday, I'm like, it's time. This is an opportunity. Like as soon as Monday gets here, also on the weekend, but it's opportunity to make something happen. I can go make something happen today, and that's cool.
Yeah.
So,
I like that. Sledgehammer it.
Yep.
Rocky for it.
So happy Monday, everyone. Hopefully that can.
This is
Hopefully
your
you can apply
opportunity
this.
to go make something happen.
Or maybe you're tired.
Maybe you get to relax. Anyway, I have a story to tell y'all.
Oh, that you're still learning about?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know about this one, actually.
We've already walked this road.
So last Friday, I'm sitting in podcast, and I get this text message.
You mean last Monday?
Well, no, we were recording on Friday. I was sitting in podcast, and we were recording. Mm-hmm. And I look at this text message, and I mean, it just runs all over me. Now, I got to give you a preface as to why it runs.
See, if y'all would just put it on focus.
Yes, I know. I'll do that.
Saying,
I'll do that.
Nobody's going to in 1 hour.
So
it's so much more peaceful.
I will do that, but I didn't.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
It just was an opportunity to bring it up. Anyway.
But actually, in this case, I think it was a good thing that I got this message. And we wouldn't
have this chill talk right now. So
that's exactly right.
Yes. Go ahead.
Okay. So I got to give you the background before I tell you what this text message was. About back in May, I get this invoice from a vendor, and I looked at this invoice. Let's go back actually further to March. We moved out of this office that we were officing in, one of the realtor offices, and we had moved out, and someone was moving in, and that someone who was moving in asked me, okay, are you going to, I'll pay this company to take these, put my signs up. Are you going to pay to have your signs taken down?
Okay.
And I said, sure. Yeah, that makes sense to me. I'll pay to have them taken down. And so that's the end of it for a while. I hear from no one. Okay. Well, then all of a sudden in May, I get this invoice from the sign company, and they're like $300. And, we're just talking about some decals, like, it's not decal, but just, scrape the signs off a couple of windows. I'm looking at that invoice like $300. First of all, I did not, and they're calling the office like we just have been ignoring this invoice.
So they didn't talk to you.
Right. They didn't talk to me. We didn't agree on a price. I'm like, and by the way, they must do their collecting on Fridays because I was in podcast that day too when I got this text message. Okay.
So they're putting off confrontation until the very last second.
Yeah. So
well, isn't that when you're supposed to fire people too?
What? Oh, on Friday?
Yeah.
On Fridays.
You're supposed
Okay.
to fire
Yeah.
people on
Well, I know a lot of people that do invoices on Fridays. It's just nice to go into the
the last
weekend with a
thing you
clean
wanna do.
plate,
Oh,
you know, and,
yeah.
you know, and so anyway, that's clearly when they do their invoices. But so I called this lady back, the owner of this company. I think she's the owner. And we dealt with them before. They'd done signs for us before. Like we have a working relationship. And she was kind of aggressive about this unpaid invoice back in March. But since she and I had never talked about it, I was like, y'all, I don't think, I'm distracted now.
Okay, I'm listening.
Okay. I don't think, I don't think this really invoice is fair. $300 seems like too much. I'll call her and take care of it. Well, I tried to call her.
So you're upset or you're not? You're just kind of...
I was kind of, because they were being kind of aggressive about this invoice as though we, had been forever since we paid it or something when we didn't even agree on it.
Yeah.
And so I called her back. She didn't answer. And this was back in May. Okay. In May is when they sent the invoice over the first time. But it wasn't really the top of my radar to get this worked out with her. Because I felt like I didn't even hire you.
And who was it that set it up? That did do the hiring?
The people that moved into that office. They got their signs put up and got ours. I guess. They had to have. Because how else did we
And
get this
so they negotiated everything and so on.
Right. And nobody called me. Like, if you're going to send me an invoice, you and I need to talk.
Yeah.
Right?
I didn't give somebody a blank check.
Money.
Right. We need to agree on a price. I need to be the one that hires you. All of that.
Yeah, that's the way that works.
Yes. So then fast forward to last Friday. So we're in August now. It's now, been several months. And I really did. It slipped my radar to call her and at least get this worked out. Because you need to, it is my responsibility to at least call her and say, hey, I'll agree to $150 or something. But, $300. And also next time I'd like you to call me.
For you to use a razor to scrape a window.
Yeah, what are we talking about here?
What's happening?
So, which is fine if we talked about it and I agreed.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a scraper in my truck that I used to take off my inspection sticker or whatever. I would have done that. No problem.
So anyway,
Next time, call me anytime you got a sticker removed.
I'll do it.
it was more than a sticker. It was more than a sticker. It was like a whole glass door of, and then a whole glass big window that was the size of the door. It was a little more than a inspection sticker, but anyway.
I'm imagining Detective Jack.
No, it was an entire glass door and an entire glass window and then some other windows with the logo. You're right.
Okay, never mind.
So anyway, so I get this text message from her on Friday during podcast. And it's like, first it was a phone call and I didn't know who it was. And then a text message. I want this invoice paid immediately. It's been outstanding for months.
How far into the podcast were we at this point?
About maybe 75% of the way.
And our family doesn't take that kind of stuff well.
No.
It's just approach. And by the way, I don't think most people would.
Agreed.
But we're the type that's like, oh, you want to fight.
Right. And that's how I felt. Like I did feel like them's fighting words.
That's right.
And so
you want to beat me up?
So I'm trying to get it to calm down and finish the podcast. And I feel myself calm down without me doing it, really doing it. In a second, all of a sudden I feel this calm come over me. And I've heard these words. First thing I want you to say when you make that phone call is, I'm going to take care of this bill. I've heard that. Godly words. And I'm thinking, okay, I can do that.
And you know that ain't you.
I knew it wasn't me because I've been fighting words. So I hear that. And then apologize for not having taken care of it over these last months. And I just thought, those words going to choke in my mouth. They're going to choke if I try to say it. And so, but I can feel it. This is from the Lord. I'll do anything he says. But I know it's going to be so hard. So I'm trying to figure out what words I'm going to say. But I can feel me stopping right before the apology or something. But I'm trying to figure it out. And so I get that and I'm nice and calm so I can finish the podcast. But now I'm kind of dreading it because I have to come in this humble way. And what if they eat me alive when I'm on the phone? I'm now I'm worried because if I'm just going to come at you, then that's no problem. I'm looking forward to that. Let's get this. You attacked me, I'm going to attack back. But in this other way, I could get eaten alive, So, so we finished podcast, and I'm driving back to the office, and I send her a text message. Do you have time to take a phone call? And within a couple of minutes, yes, is all she says.
She's like, I guess.
Yep. So I call her and I say,
I'd rather have a paid invoice.
I said, first of all, I'm going to get this bill taken care of today. And I do apologize that I have not dealt with this yet. It's to be completely honest with you, it did completely slip my mind. And she's like, okay. And, she's tight, but she's getting a little more calm. And then I already knew how I was going to get my dignity back after having done, what the Lord asked me to do. I was like, had a plan to get my dignity back by saying, did I hire you to do this? Okay. So I had that in my mind, like ready to pin her down. And I say that. I say, can I
you were giving her the opportunity to work through that it wasn't you.
Right.
Yep. Okay.
So, and to pin her down on weight, I think I may have been a little unprofessional in this scenario. Yep. And so I say, did I hire you to do this work for me? And she goes, yeah.
You're like,
And so I was like, I hired you? I said again, like reinforcing. She goes, yeah. And she said, I have your text messages right here.
Right, Shaggy.
Oh my gosh. Y'all. I said, you do? And she goes, yeah, here. And she goes, hold on, let me find them. And she starts looking through her phone and she goes, they're right here. I said, could you? She starts reading them. And she said, you agreed on the $300?
Like, that sounds like...
Yeah, all this. And even the response, I said, yes. And thank you so much for taking care of that for me. Then she sent it to me.
Yep. It was actually you?
It was me. It had my cell phone number on top. Like, hey, there's my cell phone number. The words were actually mine. They looked like something exactly I would say. I mean it. And y'all, I thought about it. Like, in my mind, I'm doing some favor for God or something by, saying I'm going to take care of this invoice. And I'm sorry. Like, no, the favor was clearly for me. Can you imagine if I had really called her and myself been unprofessional? Can you even imagine?
That's when you just hang up the phone and send a check.
And
At that point, you just, nope.
I said,
I'm embarrassed to even say I'm sorry.
At the end, I said, I'm so sorry. Like, this is not even ringing a bell. This is not, I do apologize. She goes, that's okay. Just send me a check. We're all good.
Yeah.
I just want my money that you owe me. Like, she's like, I don't really want to know you.
Yeah. Just send me a check. We're good.
I just want the money you owe me.
I couldn't even, I was embarrassed, but I also was super grateful to the Lord. We've been talking lately. He spared me. He spared me. He also, when my emotions changed while I was sitting here, that was a gift. Because it's hard to get yourself down when you start to get, your heart rate starts to go up. You do feel attacked. I did feel attacked. Yeah. On my cell phone. You're not even calling my office. You just whamming me on my cell phone while I'm in the middle. But, apparently when I talked to her, she had sent the invoice in March after she had taken everything off the windows. In May, that time the first time was the actual set. That's why she was a little worked up back then. So then we get all the way to August.
Oh, man. Yeah. That's long. My patience has worn thin.
Her patience was out. I don't blame her for anything now. For nothing.
It's so interesting because you can't, I have a hard time, not cussing. I have a hard time not yelling. I have a hard time responding correctly. But if you're in a certain place, if you're in the middle of a podcast.
That's why I said it was a gift that came in while I was at podcast, because we were already talking about the Lord and in that mode.
If you got the same text at church, like you instantly, the decision's already made. I will not act this way. Well, if it was not unrighteous, why would you not act that way at church or on a podcast or whatever, Yeah. And so it ain't the way. And you do have full control of your faculties. But you just don't, or you do. And depending on
I think it's a good lesson to walk with the Lord.
Oh, yeah.
often
Yes.
and always.
Yes.
And that will help you. That's why it says meditate on the word day and night. Because if you're just walking in your flesh, then you have less control. I've had times where I'm walking in my flesh, I'm thinking of me, I've been slighted, and I don't feel in control. But when you're walking with the Lord, that's where I'm not sure. Like I said, I'm not sure it was easier to let the Lord work in me at that point. It
100%,
wasn't that I was controlling it. It was easier to just say yes to the Lord because we were here talking about him and basically worshiping him, you know?
But it can, like, the idea of self-control, it can come to a point. Like, I don't know that I ever don't feel like punching somebody in the face if it's something crazy like that.
Certainly.
But there's something equally as powerful within me that's been built up that says you better check yourself.
It's easier to say
before
yes.
you wreck yourself.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, you better think about what you're. It's like we're taught from the time we're kids: think before you speak.
Amen.
You know, you better stop and think about it. And you know, by the standards of the world, you may be justified. Now, in that case, you wouldn't even be by any standard.
No, I was very much saved by the Lord on
If
that.
you think about that, think before you speak. I've had that so many times over the years. Once I started deciding to do it, that it saved me.
Yeah.
There's so many, I can't remember specifics, but I just remember so many feelings of going, thank the Lord I didn't say that I was about to say.
Yeah.
I was about to say it. It almost flew out, but I didn't say it. And I can't tell you how many times I've thought, I'm so glad I didn't say it. And it is good to think before you speak. It's good to think and pause before you react emotionally. I've been saved so many times, and then I've made the mistake.
And even if you're going to say the same thing, you're just going to say the same words, but how you say it, what your approach is, and people knowing that you're a Christian, and you know, all that kind of stuff. But a soft answer turns away wrath. You know, and choosing to make a soft answer, respond in a soft answer, can also turn away your wrath.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You know, it turns away
That's very
all
true.
wrath
Yeah.
involved.
Well, it's right up there with the concept of sleep on it. Why don't you sleep on it?
Yeah.
You need to
Because
sleep on it
usually
sometimes.
your immediate response, unless, like you said, Jen, your walk with the Lord is in step, then usually your first
reaction is
first reaction,
to react. But
your initial is not the right one, because it's the flesh, it's that nature that'll bite you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Don't react.
good job.
If I like it, the good rule of thumb that I've gone by over the course of time is just if I have a negative feeling, pause. Don't respond. If there's a sad feeling or a feeling of anger or anything that's negative, pause before I knee-jerk speak or react. It's a good rule. Don't just don't. Give it just a second, even just 2 or 3 seconds.
Yeah, on X, formerly Twitter, I've heard different people that are talking about, and it's usually in reference to an athlete tweeting something out. But man, they'll tweet some crazy stuff out, and it can affect their contracts to millions of dollars. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this can whatever you put out there can really affect your life. And I've heard different people with wisdom in the industry say, "Don't hit send."
Don't hit send.
Like, you type it out. You type it all out. You get it all. And what Proverbs says, only a fool gives full vent to his spirit.
Ooh, that's a good one.
But you get ready. You type it all out. Hit delete. Okay,
boy,
you got it. Go ahead and hit the delete button now. And don't
nothing. That's too close.
Yeah, black and white.
Close. What if you just hit the wrong one?
Yeah, to me, that's like walking up to the edge at Powder or Canyon. No.
Type it in your notes.
To the edge. Yeah. I'm not walking up to the edge.
I go and I put it in my notes. And then I reread it, and I'm like, "Whoa, too strong!"
Cool.
And then redo it in my notes.
Good idea.
Put it in your notes.
I never know how bad it is till I reread it.
Or if you're typing it in an email, don't put the addressee in.
Exactly. Don't walk up to that.
Fill out the body first.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or just
Yeah, black and white, man, that's scary.
you can
As
even
soon
do
as
it
it's
to
sent.
the old school way is talk to a friend. That's called venting. You could go to your friend and vent about
Yeah, but we've already had the conversation about
Yeah.
that. It may not be
Few
righteous to
episodes.
vent.
Yeah.
Yep.
Working through is one thing, seeking righteousness, but only a fool
So
gives full
you don't
vent.
tell it to somebody. You type
Because I went into it thinking
Yeah.
full vent was okay in the right. No.
We did talk about venting.
Yeah.
Anyway,
What do we got today?
Yeah, okay, so this is not a heavy prep conversation, although I could see how it could be. This is something I heard recently that I just thought it was regarding sin, and so it was on the Unashamed podcast. What's his name? The cousin
Zach.
Zach, real smart dude. One of these days we're going to have him on here.
Definitely.
And Jace.
Ooh,
Maybe Al.
you manifesting that?
Oh my gosh.
Ooh.
That's a whole. We're going to do an episode on manifesting in the future. So we were talking about that before. But Zach made the comment, and he had heard it somewhere, so it wasn't even his, but he liked it. And I just found it interesting. But that sin is simply misdirected love. Sin is misdirected love.
Yeah, let that simmer. Think about that, people.
So
It's a tough one to.
I have a knee-jerk answer to that, but
good.
let's.
Hit me with
can
the
we
knee.
unpack his thought process behind that a little? So
Well, man, this episode was about a year and a half ago, so I put it down in the notes, and I just have found it an interesting statement, and it's just a conversation. I just want to have a conversation. I do think I agree to a large. I think I agree with it. I've done some thinking on it off and on. And so you want me to say what my thoughts are first? Okay. So it really is the idea of directing your love pointing it in the wrong direction. And so anytime you sin, whether it's, theft or anger, or lying, whatever the case may be, whatever that in that moment, you place that in a higher importance over the law of God, over the just law of God and who he is, what he says is righteous. You have decided that your desire for whatever this is, your desire to not have something found out about you.
But that desire is not the same as love.
Well, you choose to love that. You love the idea of not being found out. So you cheated on a test, or you fudged, say in our industry, fudged some information to get a loan go through. So you love the idea of not being found out. Whatever you love, you're going to choose.
So we're not saying agape love, or what are the three or four kinds of love that God does? Phileo.
Right. But we're talking about just.
I think we need a different word, because I hold the word love in such high esteem because of the actual meaning of it.
I agree, but it would be but I do think, but there are different types of love, but in this case, so it would be self-love. In that case, it's self-protection, so it's self-love more than the desire for God's truth and his will. So your love for yourself is then higher. You've chosen yourself over God.
So was that guy saying that it was sin is a type of good love or another kind of love?
He wasn't saying it was a good love.
Okay, what was his statement?
Sin is misdirected love.
Misdirected.
Let me see.
Love, the loosely used word love.
Right.
Love pointed
the
in
worldly
wrong.
kind of love.
Yeah, what kind of love? Sin.
Yeah, he's not talking
I
about.
feel like sin is just
agape
plain old
love.
selfish and has nothing to do with love.
Sin is simply misdirected love. Well, but love of self leads to sin. Love of
I would argue that if you love yourself, really, you would not sin, because sin goes in opposite to what benefits you.
If you fully know what love is, I mean,
I think that having the correct definition of love is important in this conversation.
And then we got nothing to talk about.
Well, I would say. Well, I would say no. I would say that love of self, because you should love God more than yourself, and
right?
So by far,
for sure.
And so once you have love of God and you put God first, then you can love yourself the way you deserve to be loved. But that's where the different definitions of love, I think, come in.
Mm-hmm.
Which is what? Love is patient. Love is kind.
Mm-hmm.
Love is
the biblical
gentle.
definition of that, kind of like how love plays out.
But we have to. We have to take this from an American vocabulary.
Let's
this
do
is
that.
not
Okay.
a.
So we're going to
biblical-
say the cultural
This
love.
is,
Yeah,
yes, this
oh,
is
there we
not
go,
a
there we go.
biblical. Like when you say you love your car, you're not trying to apply phileo, agape, or, you know what I'm saying? I mean, you're not trying to go this
I
deep into
phileo
it.
you,
You're-
my
Yes.
James.
Okay.
So that's the kind of love we're talking about. And so I guess it would be kind of two different types of love.
Yes, and there are
If
many
your
different-
love is directed towards the Lord, which we all have our times where it gets deflected, right? And we,
Yeah.
and listening to those videos right now,
Henry and I listen to motivational videos.
Yes. And there's a lot of awesome truth in there, but I do have to be careful when I'm listening to them to not hold them in too high of an esteem.
Esteem you, dang right, boy.
Yeah.
These are people.
Never, yeah. And these are people that, a lot of them are clearly not Christians, and so it almost seems like they're at their peak that they can be without God, right? A lot of these people, like they're,
In a worldly way, yeah.
yes.
Successful sports figures.
Yeah, yeah. And so I don't think that they can get a whole lot higher. The only way you can get higher is really with God. And so they kind of have a humanistic mentality. And so I'm very careful when I listen to them to not. But so I do think, yes, there's coming around, that does kind of make sense. I mean, it really is too, when you have your love for the Lord, mm-hmm. and that's your focus and that's your direction, then it's hard to be operating in that love and sinning at the same moment. Right. But when your love shifts and what you see as love becomes physical possession focused, status focused, or physical possession driven, status driven, those types of things, then sin begins
mm-hmm.
to reign.
If we go with the purpose, I think, of what Zach was saying, let's go with that purpose.
Right.
Now that we have this kind of more defined. I think
we kind of had to do from the beginning. Sorry if that was
this.
boring, but
Yeah.
I feel like that was kind of. I feel like that was kind of fun to work through. I mean,
It needs to be established.
Well, let's just do the thing.
And I let me say real quick, I do want to say we don't always do a ton of. Matter of fact, a lot of times we don't do a ton of prep. So that's kind of the fun of this.
Yeah, for new listeners, what we do is throw a subject out there and talk about it, because our family's good about talking about nothing for hours. We could talk about nothing, much less a deep topic,
Amen
which is
to
what
that.
we're trying to, so
Amen to that.
just kind of bringing those conversations onto the air sometimes.
And that being said, I'm going to need y'all to repeat the statement again. Do it again.
Henry.
Do it again.
Do it
Mufasa. Okay. So essentially, there are two. So if your love is directed towards God,
No. Just say the statement.
Sin is simply misdirected love.
Sin, because it's hard as a Christian. I know what love is, so my mind is struggling to
Hold
wrap
on.
itself
Let me
around
finish
it.
this thought that I started with a minute
She's
ago.
like, I've been trying to.
Yeah, let me get this out so we can see.
Minutes.
So we can talk actually about what we thought about talking about. So love, the Google version of love, okay, is the Oxford Dictionary, basically an intense feeling of deep affection. If we go with that, then I think we can get there. Or a great intense and pleasure in something.
I think that's the best you can understand love.
I think this is what Zach's trying to say.
Yes.
Like, if you apply these towards, okay, now I have a great interest and pleasure in my own status, when it great intense and pleasure in something should be directed towards God. Mm-hmm. It's misdirected towards selfishly me. If I only direct it towards God, which is, I had a lady that did a Bible study one time. Her name's Iris. And she did these great ones. And she would say, you're going against the very thing you want when you act that way. And that's this directing your love. We're defining love just for the purpose of this conversation as an intense feeling of deep affection or a great interest and pleasure in something for the purposes of this conversation. You directing love towards, your own status or really how people think of you. Like, I'm a people pleaser. It's why I get angry when someone's not pleased with me. When someone does say, I hate this thing you did, and I wish you would do, and they say it to me harshly, it does rise up in me this cat in a corner with dogs around me instinct. I just want to fight back, because someone's not pleased with me. But that in itself is, I have more of a feeling in my own self-interest in how people are looking at me than, okay, you don't like what I did. I don't care. Let me fix it. I care about you, but I'm not worried about my image because I care more about what the Lord thinks of me, and I know what he thinks of me,
Like, what's your deepest motivation? So right now we have a class that we do at our church called Equip that we do on Wednesday nights, and it's called Equip because we're equipping the saints and so we're going to be, for this next year, we're going to be covering biblical counseling and teaching people to use the Bible to counsel people. And so for the 3 weeks leading up to it, the leaders get together, and Anthony and Jeremy, the two kind of main pastors, kind of go over what their goal is, what their direction, vision, and so forth. And so this last week we were going over, helping our tables to work through whatever it is that we're discussing, and helping them to think through themselves rather than us giving them the answers or telling them what they should think, like helping them to work through it. And so we talked about using the word why. Well, what's the answer to this question? Jesus. Why? Why is it Jesus? Because he went to the cross and died for my sins. Why did he? You know what I'm saying? And just continuing down the path of why. And so I think using that word why in this case, well, I do have a passion for, I don't want to be a loser. So that's kind of I think I've talked about that a little bit on here. I've realized recently, okay, one of my big whys is I don't want to be a stinking loser in life. And so then you ask again, why? Because I feel like I'm created for more. I feel like I'm wasting my life if I don't follow through, if I don't meet the potential that God's given me. Well, why? And you keep going down this path. I think if you ask the question why, I'm not going to bore y'all with going down this long path.
It wouldn't be boring.
But if you continue, right.
I'll be very interested to go down.
But it's a good exercise, I think, to understand which way your love is directed. To understand which way your love is directed is to continue to ask yourself why. Mm-hmm. If that why ultimately ends up at 1 Corinthians 10:31, whatever you eat or drink or whatever you do all to the glory of God. If it ultimately comes down to that, there's nothing wrong with wanting to be successful in business. There's nothing wrong with wanting to be in good shape. The Bible says that our bodies are the temple of the Holy Spirit. There's nothing wrong with those kinds of things. But if your why ends with self-glorification, with uplifting yourself, then you're in trouble. Once you get to that bottom of that why where you can't go any deeper, if it doesn't end in God, in 1 Corinthians 10, in Colossians 3, whatever you do to the glory of God, I think then you understand which way your compass is, your love compass is pointing.
Yeah.
I am, I've been kicking around the idea, and I've told you all this, but I'll just say it for the purpose of our conversation. I've been kicking around the idea of starting a YouTube channel. And it's really nerve-wracking, the thought of it. I've got a ton of messages that I want to record, and I'm excited. I've got rules for myself. Don't you dare even accidentally cuss on there. Make sure the purpose of this is always has a godly foundation. But I keep on getting nervous that I'm like, man, you stick yourself out in public like that, and people are going to twist what you said, or think things that are not true about you, or use it against you. And I've been thinking about it, and I just every time I'm like, why do I want to do this? What is it about it that I want to do this? And I do keep realizing it's because it will point people to Jesus. It will. I'm not worried about that. And I want to point people to Jesus with my whole life. And I have things that I think are important for people to think about. And that does. It does make it easier for me to go, okay, I'm waiting for a couple more answers to land on me that I have questions about this channel, and I'm going to go ahead and start making recordings. But I feel confident doing that just because, like you said, Henry, in the end, it does come back fundamentally, at the core and the root to, does it glorify God? I'm like, yes, it does. So I'm trying to get over myself because there's a real reason to that's bigger than me.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting. So I'm sitting there I'm like, okay, well, what about watching TV? Can your why ever get to glorify God?
Probably not.
No, I actually think it can. So I was just kind of thinking through that and thinking, because I agree. I think you're pretty good at that. You've got a special project, which we've mentioned on here, and we won't go into details because this is a big business thingy that you're doing.
Thank you.
And one of these days you're gonna be able to talk about it. But right now it's GS-14 classified, and so. But I do admire that you're very firm that if it goes nowhere because you take a stand for God and because it's designed around God and to lead people to God first and foremost,
worth it,
then so be it.
Let's do it.
And so your why clearly ends with the glory of God, right?
But I'm dying to hear your TV statement.
Yeah, okay. All right. So can I sit and, am I good with sitting and watch TV? Can this glorify God in any way? Are we called to rest? Do we now, what does that look like? What is the intake? Those types of things, all that comes into play. But is the act of rest of saying, I don't sit around with a bag of potato chips and my shirt, my belly. Right. There's obviously other.
Are we watching The Passion of the Christ?
And you can even watch The Passion of the Christ and repeat and be sitting there living in sin. We're not called to go ye into all your couch and watch Passion of the Christ, right? So if you all you do is you want to isolate yourself from the world, you're going to just sit and watch Jesus movies all day and eat potato chips and wear a wife beater T-shirt and your hairy belly's hanging outside of your stomach.
Oh man,
your shirt, then
I've done all this.
You got chips down in the cracks of your couch, and you might be rolling with some gluttony. I mean, there's no I'm saying if that's the life you live,
I could totally get into this.
Yeah, everybody has their moments, but so it can definitely become sin, but I think you can trace that why to say, man, I've been going you know how it goes when you're going hard and you're doing it for the right reasons or anything, you still hit that wall where you just think. Yesterday, the day before yesterday, I had a massive business win and I felt great about it. And then yesterday I had a big opportunity. So it was back-to-back days. I didn't have the same energy going into the second one. I used it all that first day, and I felt like the second leg of the race, I didn't have I was mentally exhausted by the time I got to this second meeting. I still think it went pretty good, but
We're off
running.
trail.
I'm wondering what sin is misdirected. Like, how is the TV?
Hang tight. Let me finish
You
what I'm
getting
saying.
somewhere? Okay. Because I'm like,
We'll come back around to it, but I'm saying because I'm talking about rest, and we were talking about the TV thing.
Yeah.
And so you can clearly hit a wall, and I had hit a wall, and I just was having a hard time focusing, and had all the right intentions, all that. So rest is it can be a good thing. And so I'm going to sit down, I'm going to catch a movie, I'm going to think about nothing, and relax for a little bit.
Okay.
And then when I'm recharged, or I'm going to take a seventh day, like the Bible says to do, and rest. Well, you feel good to go, right? So rest glorifies God, because then you become you rest, and then you're ready to go full go. And so I don't think I think you can glorify God by watching TV.
oh man, I'm not there. Like, does it glorify him, or you just need it? I mean, you need
Does
rest.
it tell us to rest?
Is it glorifying God? Yeah. Anyway.
Well, if it gives you enough rest to go out and then hit the ground running in His direction.
All right, check this out, though. I don't think so. I'm just going to disagree fully. If I take a nap, that's not glorifying God. If I take a nap and now I'm energized, and then the thing I go do after that because I've had the nap, I'm like, that thing that I did would glorify God, but not the nap. Do my shoes that I wear glorify God? I don't know about that either.
I know. I feel like maybe we're taking it so literally, just like we were cracking on last week of, people taking some of this stuff too literally. So maybe the nap is not glorifying God. I do think that rest is an important part, but it's possible that a nap glorifying God is not correct. That it doesn't. But I can see that it's in the will of God.
I do too.
Right.
Absolutely, I do.
If you obey God, do you glorify God?
Yes.
You'd have to say yes.
Are we told to rest?
Yes.
You'd have to say yes.
Okay.
There we go.
You win. Congratulations.
You win.
Okay.
You did it.
Yeah, this is all off track here.
I just got to go back to...
But we didn't exercise right there. Basically, we just didn't exercise. That is the why. You do have to trace your why to get to the core
point.
of the. I mean, we
That's
just
very
went through an
true.
exercise of working.
Can I have
through.
Doritos while I rest? Laugh. Come on, laugh. Come on. I couldn't pass it up.
Yeah.
Okay, sin is simply misdirected love. We defined love. Did we define sin? I think because we...
we can get into sin.
Jenny, no?
Yeah, go ahead.
It just says, sin, an immoral act considered to be a transgression against divine...
What's it?
Divine law. Sin, an immoral act considered to be a transgression...
No, I mean, I'm sorry. What's the definition coming from?
I don't know. It's Google Dictionary.
Okay, so Oxford.
It says
Oxford.
Oxford.
Yeah.
It does. Anyway, against divine law.
So that's the worldly. Yeah. Let's see. I have some scriptures here. Let's see.
Sin is only defined by God.
Yeah.
I like that.
The world.
Period.
Yeah.
Period.
Here's a few scriptures.
Which that's a big topic, right?
Yeah.
It's easy, but it's also...
It's as precise, like the Webster's from the 1828 dictionary that we talked about is the voluntary departure of a moral agent from a known role of rectitude or duty prescribed by God. I mean, that's where sin.
And what?
That's how
sin
we know.
Is a religious term, right?
It really is.
Right and wrong is worldly, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that how
Sin
it breaks
is
down? Sin is
biblical.
And some people go, there's no sin. It's just right and wrong. Whatever.
And then right and wrong is according to what you think.
Which is, now we're just so stupid. It's just
It's
stupid.
just, we can't even say that's a chair anymore over
That's
there.
right.
You know,
Yeah. What even
Yes.
is it? I
Right.
don't know. Is it a chair? Yeah.
Exactly. So it's the law of God, and what he says is evil. And I would also argue that you know in your heart what sin is, because he wrote the laws. He said, I will write the laws on your heart. There is something in your heart when you step out of the will of God that you know. You may get numb to it. You may justify it and start to believe it's not sin. But when you step out of line with the law of God, you do feel it in your heart. There's something wrong with this. And I know people like to attribute that to raising or, the way they were taught. No, it is on your heart. The Lord did not send you to earth without giving you a way and information. And I can take that to a scientific level. You have code, you have miles and miles of code written in you on your cells and your DNA. It's written. It's there. You know what sin is. You do.
It's written in you.
It is.
Ooh, I love that.
So I like a couple different verses here. Actually, there's a lot of great verses here, but 1 John 5 puts it pretty simple. All wrongdoing is sin. Like that. Ephesians 2, 1 through 3. And then it follows that up with
wrong, sin.
But that kind of goes along with what, like you in your heart, like, we're given consciences from God, consciences. Yes, I'll get there. From God. But I like that it follows that up with, but there is sin that does not lead to death. So that's kind of an ignorant, like, you're working through it and all that. But then Ephesians 2, 1 through 3 says, and you were dead in the trespasses and sins in which you once walked, following the course of this world, following the prince of the power of the air, the spirit that is now at work in the sons of disobedience, among who we all once lived in the passions of our flesh, carrying out the desires of the body and the mind, and were by nature children of wrath, like the rest of mankind. Like, to me, there's a ton of different
there are
small phrases in there that say what sin is. Following the course of the world, following the prince of the power of the air, Satan. Let's see. The spirit that is now at work in the sons of disobedience. So a disobedient heart, a rebellious heart, living in the passions of your flesh. So not resisting. Our flesh has a desire to do what's wrong in this broken, cursed world. Carrying out the desires of the body and the mind. I mean, all these different things that I think that Ephesians 2 is a good, solid idea of what, but also what it does. I think having an idea. Have you ever noticed that when you sin, especially knowingly, I do think it's when your heart's for God and you do something, that's where the process of sanctification, becoming more like Christ, comes into play. And so God gets it. He does understand that we're not perfect, but our heart is pointed towards Him. But you still can sin when your heart is pointed towards the Lord out of ignorance, right? And I think that's the sin that doesn't lead to death. And you're trying to get better every day or recognizing. And anyway, but the separation.
Most of my sin is now an act of passion. What is that called? It's not premeditated. It's a crime of passion.
Yeah,
that's what I would say. I have in my older
crime
years,
of passion.
45. Once upon a time, I did my sins where I don't care. And a lot of that has been weeded out. Now there are crimes of passion that happen in the moment. And I'm like, oh my goodness gracious, stop it.
But have you ever noticed the separation when you sin? When you sin with your heart and with your mind knowingly, you do something that that this distance. And it's not that there's a distance. God is here. God doesn't go anywhere. You cannot escape God. He's everywhere. There is no escaping Him.
Yes.
So He's not any further away, but you do feel that curtain, that veil that kind of goes between you and Him.
Sin comes between you and God.
Yes.
Big time.
And creates this sorrow, this sadness.
It's separation from God.
It's almost like a small taste of hell.
Yes.
It's like a very small example of what hell's going to be.
Preach it.
So Isaiah 59:2 says, but your iniquities have made a separation between you and your God, and your sins have hidden His face from you so that He does not hear. That's that's the way it feels. Whenever you feel, because the Holy Spirit, when you're walking with God, and your heart is for Him, the Holy Spirit, man, you can feel it. The Holy Spirit puts a check. And well, Jenny, you were talking about in podcast last week. in our chill talk just now. You were talking about your first response was like most of ours would be.
A little wild.
Mm-hmm. And the Spirit in his faithfulness, not in your faithfulness, in his faithfulness and grace, said, I don't want you to handle it that way.
Mm-hmm. Grace for me, even.
But if you would have chosen and said, that's not God. Or how do I know that's God? And ripped the poor lady a new one.
Yeah, because you could say, I don't want to be hurt.
Right.
I don't want to have my guard down.
Which is the misdirected love that we're talking about. I love me more than God, so I'm going to protect myself because I don't feel like you are. You're sending me into this den here, and this lady's going to eat me alive. Yes. And when in reality, I was the one getting, my love for the Lord is, greater. I'm not perfect at it, but in that, it was greater than my love for me, because what I wanted to do was going by the wayside in order to complete what, supposedly, the Lord, I was doing him some favor or something. I didn't really see it that way, but looking back on it, I was like, I'm being obedient. I'm being a good girl. I'll do what you want. And really it was, and I find that, I'm in a rabbit trail for a second again.
Okay.
That when the Lord, when we do, when it comes to sin, because we're just talking about sin basically, his laws are for us. It's not like we're doing him some big favor.
Yeah.
His laws on sin are for us. We were talking last week about how, really, I heard it recently said that God is an egomaniac because he wants us to worship him. Could not be further from the truth. If you are wondering, as I have in my life, why God wants us to worship him, and does that make him an egomaniac? Let me explain to you.
What a twisting.
Let me explain to you why, because on first thought, I can see. I even have questioned, not that I know the Lord. I know that's not him. I have felt his love. Everything that he does flows down to us. There is some kind of benefit. Like when we think we're giving something to him, it really turns around. It's a benefit for us. So I know him.
And I want to follow this up with a story I've got for an illustration.
Okay. So, but this is the thing. You see people, I'm going to give an example of people worshiping these Kardashians, and it's again, that misdirected love.
Yeah.
And loving them and loving you. And what do? They make themselves into their image. They blow their lips up and put implants in their cheeks, their chins, their behinds. They make themselves look like that. We tend to make ourselves into these things we worship. These Hollywood movie stars, we do. You start dressing like them, acting like them, having a foul mouth like they do. That's what happens. Well, the Lord knows that is sin. And the wages of sin is death. It is like missiles to our soul. When we do these things, it hurts us. It takes us to these paths of loneliness and self-destruction. But he is holy. And if we're worshiping him instead of worshiping these people, since we're trying to make ourselves like that which we worship, that's why we have this thing in us to worship God. Because it's the only way that we will try to be like him. It must be this way. There is no other way that it can be. We're going to worship. We're just going to worship. And we are going to look to that, make that our hero, and try to be like this person, thing, God that we worship. We must do it.
Yeah.
And what do we benefit? We benefit wholly. You know what I'm talking about out there. When you worship God and you're walking with him, it doesn't benefit him.
Right.
I mean, it is not for...
Well, what was he when he came to earth? He was humble.
Yes.
And meek.
And a servant.
By nature.
Egomaniac. Come on.
He didn't become somebody different, by the way.
No.
He didn't become somebody different. That is who he is.
So,
yes.
He so loved us. Not just he loved us. He so loved the world that he gave his son.
Yes.
Is that an egomaniac?
How is that an egomaniac?
Oh, his only son. Sorry, I messed that up.
Yes.
Yeah.
That doesn't
His
sound
only
like an
beloved
egomaniac
son.
to me.
No.
Okay, I'm going to jump in. I think it's a perfect time about that. That's perfect. I have been using a gas-powered weed blower, and I only use gas-powered tools, by the way. And I've done that for years because to me, it is just more reliable. If I want more
Not
power,
even close, yeah.
If I want more power, I put gas in there and it will keep on going. All I need is more gas. If my battery were to die on some kind of battery powered something, I'm going to be stuck. I got to sit and wait, and the job will not be finished right now. And that's annoying. So I've never done it. So both my weed eater and my blower died a week or so ago. And for my birthday, I got a blower, and I also got a weed eater. Thank y'all. Y'all got me a weed eater.
Oh, you got both? I didn't know.
I got both.
Blower.
So y'all bought me a Husqvarna weed eater, which I love, which is a beast. And then Carrie bought me this $350 blower. That's a DeWalt.
Dude, you got the fat hook.
I got hooked up.
Both.
But I didn't think so at first. When I realized Carrie handed me, I know, I'm a bad husband, y'all.
I know.
I'm just not the best husband.
I don't want to hear
Carrie
it. I'm going out.
Carrie handed me this.
I'm going out. Y'all
No, you're my brother. You have to stay. He's gone. He left. So, he's gone.
No, he's back.
So I opened this right off the bat. The box is like a DeWalt, and I was like, I don't know if DeWalt's really the right brand.
Oh, I love DeWalt, man.
And I was like, it's in my mind that just wasn't. I think
DeWalt, feel free to sponsor us.
So, and then I realize it's a battery powered DeWalt. Even in my mind, even worse. And I'm like, oh, how do I let my wife feel great about giving me a gift? It doesn't matter. My wife gave me a gift.
Yellow and black.
Anyway,
I mean, that's just beast.
It is. It's cool looking.
Cool.
And this is actually an extremely cool looking blower.
Oh, I got to see it.
You got to see it.
I've got an electric blower. I love that thing.
I'm going to show you.
It's awesome.
So,
yeah.
I am stupid also. I don't know if I've said that before, but I am very stupid. So, and ignorant. I use this thing. I get it out. I thought I charged it. I put it on the charger, the battery on the charger all night. I go ahead the next day. I'm excited. I'm like, let's just see how this thing works. I go for it. It works for a little bit, maybe 10, 15 minutes, and then it just stops. And I was like, wait, what's going on? I start pulling that trigger. I'm pulling the trigger, and I'm like, what the heck? I set it down for like 5 or so minutes. I picked it back up. I start pulling the trigger again. It kind of, thinking about working, it kind of works for another 10 seconds. And I was like, oh my gosh, this trigger is faulty. This is a busted trigger. The trigger is not connecting and telling this thing to go. I'm like, it should be good. I'm looking at it. I start pulling out the manual and stuff. And I'm reading the manual, but I got confused reading the manual. And I was like, this is stupid. What's wrong with this thing? All I want to do is pull a trigger and it work. And I go so far as to get so frustrated with it that I, in my mind, convinced myself that the trigger is faulty. And I took it back to Home Depot. And I'm like, hey, here's your thing. Give me a different one. I'm sure this is a great product. It seemed like it was going to be great. Give me I need the same thing, only just a different one. Because this one's faulty. So I was like, okay. They give it to me. They're real nice about it and stuff. And I get a whole brand new one. I go home.
Yeah. Lowe's is great. Feel free to sponsor us, Lowe's.
That was Home Depot.
Oh, Home Depot. Did I say
Lowe's?
Home Depot.
Home Depot.
You're great, too.
I'm a Lowe's man, but Home Depot is also good.
All right, good.
So anyway, I am home with this thing. I charged it all last night. And I'm like, oh, my goodness. I know this is going to be an amazing thing if it will work. And I just can't get it to go. And I'm like, I just need to understand this blower. I've just never used a battery power blower. It's got to be, I just don't understand. I read through the instructions and I learned a lot about the battery and how you got to push it till it clicks. Mm-hmm. Push it into the charger until it clicks and then watch the lights. And when the lights give you a certain response, you know you're good to go.
That's right.
My point is, and I know that was a lot. First of all, this thing does work like a beast, y'all. I love it. I might be converted. I don't know. Just on blowers. I don't know. We'll try other things. But what I realized in all this was the manual. After I was able to calm down and read the manual, take my time and read it word by word slowly. For a guy like me, I need it slowly. I got it and I understood how everything worked. There was nothing wrong with the trigger. The battery was dead. And when I set it down for 5 minutes, batteries do that. They build up inside themselves a little bit more energy, and you get a little more energy out of them, and they do something.
Yeah, it'll do it on a car.
It'll do it on a car.
First you get in,
give it a second, try it again.
And it'll
Not do it
start to
again.
try to,
Yeah. That's a battery for you. I just didn't understand these things. Point being, and I know, I hope this isn't going to be so powerful and impactful.
Well, it's longer than 2 minutes, dude.
I know. But you've interrupted a time or two with your little episodes.
I'm just saying it's your rule.
So, in the end, is the guy who wrote the manual an egomaniac? He's not an egomaniac. He wrote it so I would know what to do. Yeah. So I would not take it all the way to Home Depot and trade it out just because I think it doesn't work. No, it does work. It did work. That other one worked. This one works. The writer of the manual knew these guys are going to have trouble with this and that and that and this. And so it's like, same thing. God's not an egomaniac. He gave us how to do this. The Bible. Read it slowly. Take your time and read it and know. But that doesn't make him egotistical or maniacal or selfish. He knew we were going to need it. Mm-hmm. Feel free to jump in. Guess that's it.
Yeah, that's it. That's a good final thought, I think. I think we're going to wrap up, so that can be your final thought.
That was enough for all of our final thoughts.
My final thought would just be check your why. Check your why. Use it to get to the source. And by the way, if your heart's for God, give yourself some grace when you're going to recognize, okay, yeah, crud.
Yeah, I like that.
I stink. That's going to happen. It's going to happen. And there's at church, one of the other things we were talking about is, I think it's called Putnam's spiritual maturity wheel or something like that. It's a really cool thing if you can look it up, but it shows the different stages in a Christian's life. And so there's newborn, infant, toddler, spiritual teenager, spiritual adult, parent, right? And then it's got all these attributes that go to each one. Very cool little wheel to kind of gauge where you're at in your life on, and you can be a parent in one part of your life and a toddler, teenager in other parts of your life, and so having, but you have to have, when you start looking at this wheel and thinking about those things, it's easy to be like, wait, I would have thought I'd have been further along by now, or
yeah.
You're going to have a hard time growing if you don't have a little grace for yourself. Have some grace with the accountability, with the using the why, because again, the core reason is to glorify God. And I think of now I don't know how encompasses work. I've never studied it. I also don't care. But the way I imagine
what works?
A compass, right?
A compass.
But I think of a compass, when we're talking about this, I think of a compass pointing to true north, right? And so if the compass of our heart is pointing the wrong direction, it's misdirected love, right? And so it's pointing in the direction of self, or it's pointing, because it's based off what's the word?
The earth.
Not magnification, but magnetized, magnetic. It draws the needle to the north, right?
The poles.
Yes. Poles. Yeah.
Poles, whatever.
So that's something to do with that causes the needle to always point north. And so where you know where true north is. So the compass is always pointing true north to God. But if it gets messed up, if that somehow gets messed up, then it's pointing in the wrong direction. And so I imagine it. Now, I don't know if you can do this on a real compass, but having to recalibrate your compass to get it to point in the right direction again. I want my love pointed towards God. And then everything else, you can do everything else. You can have a desire you should desire to be excellent, to do everything you do to the glory of God, to do everything well, to be at the top, and how you maintain your yard, and how you treat the people around you, and how you do business. If people see you thrive in what you do, Joseph, everything he did, he was blessed. He just, wherever he thrived, he succeeded. His heart was always for the Lord, always for the Lord, and so. Yeah, I guess that'd be my final thought. Jen, what you got?
Yeah, I think y'all got it. I agree.
Henry's final thought was longer than mine.
Those were some good final thoughts. They're both good. I agree.
Rock and roll.
Okay.
Right.
Rock and roll.
I guess that'll wrap it up. Jared, we missed you. But we somehow managed to survive it. I would ask Pastor Stephen Towle, you know a lot of people, and so make sure and share.
Yeah.
Make sure and share with everybody you know. We're counting on you. You're our marketing, we've decided, Stephen. So
Stephen Towle.
everybody likes you. Nobody thinks ill of you. And so
It's just one of those people everybody
Yes.
loves.
Everybody likes Stephen.
So we really appreciate that he listens. He's an old family friend. We love him. And so every week, Stephen, we're gonna ask you if you'll share with people. And that means when we say that, we're asking everybody else to too.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. Anyway, we love you guys. Have a wonderful week ahead of you. Go ye into all the world
and preach the gospel.
Amen.
This is
Hopefully
your
you can apply this,
opportunity to
if it's
go make something happen.
Or maybe you're tired.